Quentin loves to box, Allie competes in powerlifting, and Brad works on his family farm. What makes these ordinary people unique? If we take a look at the full picture, you'll see something that may change your perspective. As the 2016 Paralympics approach, you may start to wonder how it is that these athletes have turned what some may call a limiting disability into an elite athletic ability. Prosthetics evolved over the centuries from a non-functional device for aesthetic purposes to a full-functioning limb replacement. The early ages consisted of non-functional limbs just for aesthetics purposes, and then during the Renaissance era, many advances were made to improve the design and movement of the prosthetic limb. Modern-day technology provides amputees with the ability to perform daily activities with the use of bionic and prosthetic technologies. Nearly 40 centuries ago, in 1500 BC, prostheses were designed to provide wholeness of the body. The Amputation Coalition dates the first discovered prostheses of a big toe found on a mummy to 1500 BC. Ancient Egyptians believed entering the afterlife without a limb was more appalling than living without it in this life. Thus, it was common for them to prepare non-functional funeral devices to complete the body and prepare it for its transition. No documented prosthetic was discovered from this time period until 1858, when a leg was unearthed in Capua, Italy. As you can see in the picture, the device was a leg developed from bronze and iron with a wooden core. It is, as well as many other devices in this time period, non-functional. As time progressed, the purpose of this prostheses shifted to hide deformities and injuries in battle. They were designed to hold shields or make a leg appear to be present in the stirrups of a horse. The History Channel connects little advances in prostheses to the primitive amputee surgeries performed. Few survived amputation surgery, and if they did, even less survived the closing of the incision. Biomed reports that a surgeon had 30 seconds to remove the limb and 3 minutes to close the incision. Methods of cauterizing the incision included the use of hot coals or tar and heated rods or swords. Thus, it shouldn't be a surprise that many suffered and died. Of those that did survive, the poor were left to scoot through their life on wheeled boards, as only the very wealthy could afford a prosthetic. Any potential advances came to a sudden halt as the Black Death took hold of Europe in the 1300s. It was not until this cloak of sickness was lifted that advancement continued. The History Channel claims that the Renaissance era marked a time of experimental investigation, increasing knowledge of human anatomy through dissection and examination of the body. Much advancement was made in this era. The Amputation Coalition distinguishes the most prominent people to be Ambroise Paré, whom was entitled the father of modern amputation surgery and prosthetic design. Pierre Verdun, designing the first non-locking below-knee device, which would later become the blueprint for current joint and corset devices, and James Potts, contributing the wooden shank and socket with a steel knee joint and articulated foot controlled by tendons, later coining the name the Anglesey leg. Once the idea was brought to the United States, it was then referred to as the Sulfo leg. This prosthesis gradually received better features and more effective designs. Interior springs and concealed tendons were added to the design for smoother and more natural-looking movements. Different materials were experimented with, resulting in a lighter prosthesis made from aluminum with leather, ditching the traditional heavy iron. Following these advances, prosthetics continued to improve in quality and function due to high demand, leading to the modern-day prostheses. During the United States Civil War, Biomed reports a minimum of 30,000 receiving amputation surgery and requiring prosthetics. This high demand led to impressive results in the development of the limb. After World War II, even more veterans were disabled due to the need for amputation. Upon their return, their veterans demanded improvement within prosthetics, and the American Orthotics and Prosthetics Association was established. This group was responsible for coordinating with the United States to broker a deal with military companies to improve prosthetic function rather than weapons. This led to modern developments and higher production of prostheses. Today, American biophysicist and engineer Hugh Herr is one of the many scientists working to create bionic limbs that emulate the function of natural limbs. In his most recent TED Talk, he claims, "Bionics explores the interplay between biology and design." Biomed explains this prosthesis can now be controlled with the use of sound, nerve, and muscle signals. As you can see, prosthetics has come a long way to be as functional and accessible as they are today. The early ages consisted of non-functional limbs of aesthetic purposes. Then during the Renaissance era, many advances were made to improve the design and functionality of the limb. Modern-day technology provides amputees with the ability to perform daily activities with the use of bionic and prosthetic technologies. Prosthetics evolved over the centuries from a non-functional device for aesthetic purposes to a full-functioning limb replacement. We can now understand the benefits and importance of the improvement of the prosthetic. As Hugh Hurst said, it bridges the gap between disability and ability, human limitation and human potential. Thank you.